Just 1 in 5 young people is in favour of keeping the so-called triple lock, which ensures that pensions always rise by a reasonable amount. And now some economists are calling on politicians to get rid of the guarantee and instead to look at supporting younger workers by letting them keep more of their pay packets, pay less tax. They say it'll help save the country money in the long run and boost aspiration. But do you think that scrapping the promise to pensioners who've worked hard all their lives, obviously, would be a bad decision for any political party to take? I'll start with you. Why not? What do you think?
I'm not from the best person to ask this because I'm 63, right?
Me too.
And I've been paying into my national insurance for years and years and years. So I'm kind of looking forward to getting the government, the Treasury, the Exchequer to honour their part of the deal. Having said that, selfish needs apart, quite obviously the system isn't going to work. Quite obviously it's out of balance. And I'm very conscious that my generation has had, financial benefits that the generations following are not going to have. And part of the reason is we've locked them out through getting the benefit of property prices rising so much and also kind of the economic cycle. So there's obviously clearly going to have to be some sort of redistribution just to give younger people a chance of having the kind of lives that we've been lucky to have.
But you say, you're 63, so am I. By the time we get to be 66, which is the pensionable age, it looks as if it might already have moved a little further on by 2028 to 67, not 66. It might keep on eluding us. We might keep on just being slightly too young to get it. Will you feel that that's very unfair if you don't get it, having worked all this time?
Well, not really. I mean, I think it's one of the ways you manage that is, but also, we're living longer. You and I are lucky enough to be able to do the kind of job that we can do in our 60s without needing, medical intervention. For lots of people, of course, that's not an option, and it'd be their needs I'd be most concerned about. But clearly, it's unaffordable at the moment. We can't just make money appear magically. We're going to have to work out a way of funding pensions that are adequate for the needs of the people who need them. Perhaps also growing the economy would be a really good thing to do, and maybe not selling off our national assets so the profits could stay in the country and be taxable.
Sam, one of the things that's been suggested is that wealthier older people, and a certain segment of the pensioners in this country are millionaires or multimillionaires, ought to be excluded. If you've got an income over a certain amount or assets over a certain amount, however old you are, you should not draw a state pension. As they always use the example of poor old Alan Sugar. I don't know why they always choose him, but they always say, who thinks Lord Sugar needs a state pension? He does not. Do you agree with that? Is that fair?
I think it's really difficult because there's no fair answer at the moment because, the bank is empty, the coffers are dry and everyone knows we're in trouble. So I think ultimately when you have spent your life serving the country in some way by remaining alive, by paying taxes, and you get to that age, as a measure of gratitude, you would feel that that money should come your way, whether you're Lord Sugar or, Lady Sugar or whoever it is. But hard decisions have to be made, and ultimately decisions made on means testing are less cruel than decisions of just taking away from everyone. So if the choice is the Lord Sugars of the world get less rather than everyone gets less in that age cohort, then I would certainly choose the former over the latter if a difficult decision had to be made.
See, I was thinking, Jim, if that were to be taken into consideration, would it be fair to say, well, how many years have you been a millionaire? Because what if you struggled for years and years from a start of nil, and it took years and years to actually make or accrue any money, and you've had a few quid, but only for the last 15 years? Should you be penalised the same as, I don't know, the Duke of Devonshire or somebody who's been born into great wealth? Is that even fair?
What you've done is hit on a really important point in this discussion, and that is the complexities of how means testing the state pension could even work. And there's no real structure for that, so it would have to be set up from scratch. It would cost an absolute fortune. And I'm not saying just because something's difficult you shouldn't do it. I think the triple lock is unsustainable long term. I think most people agree with that. But should it be rebalanced in a way that excludes pensioners after they've paid in all their lives? I'm not entirely sure that that's fair. 1 in 6 pensioners are in pension poverty at the moment. By forcing more potentially into pension poverty, when, let's not forget, the cost of living crisis is alive and well, let's start focusing on the bigger picture with regards to the cost of food, the cost of fuel, bringing it down. That's going to benefit everybody, including young people. That would be a better place to start.
Brave political party going into an election which is going to say, oh, by the way, pensioners, you're the only people who turn out to vote these days anyway. We're going to say your money money away.
Yeah.
I don't really think that's going to be on the top of many manifestos, do you?
No, and I think it's also a shame that we're always, again, pitting young people against older people. I don't like this kind of conversation where it's all one or the other. There are hard decisions to be made, and I agree it is not an electoral winner. Most people who vote are older, and they will be voting with their vote on this, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Let's go to the calls because they're coming in pretty thick and fast, and I'm not surprised either. Let's go to Robert in Belfast. Robert, what do you think about this? Because it's quite an ugly discussion, isn't it? Pulling money away from the old to give to the young, or the other way round. It means it feels like a battleground, and it shouldn't.
Good afternoon to the whole panel there. Thank you for taking my call. My point is, rightly what you've said, from a government point of view, to put young people against senior citizens is I find it very distasteful. My point here is limit pensions to senior citizens. Many senior citizens left school when they're 14, 15 years of age, including myself. I'm 69 years of age, and I'll be going, Lord's Thursday, I'll be going 70 next month. I'm a taxi driver back in Belfast, and what I get in a pension, I can't live on it. I have to go out and work. Thankfully, I've got the health to do it. But the bottom line is, I'm getting no help from the government. What I'm getting a pension is very little.
Would you be able to say how much you get per week of pension, Robert? Just so we can...
I get £80 a week.
And obviously that's not the full state pension, is it? Is that because there were years when you didn't pay in? Is there a reason why you don't get the full amount?
No. I do everything through all my relevant things through my accountant, and that's what I do. I get pension into my account, £80 every week.
Well, you certainly can't live on that, can you? No, goodness. All right, so you're still busily driving your taxi around
and
Belfast.
Still paying income tax
still paying
as well.
Tax.
You know,
and that's the other thing.
In.
As far as means testing is concerned, it could be linked to your tax return, which everyone has to do. Yeah. So if that was somehow to be that information were communicated,
he's still paying income tax on his pension. You know, he's still paying into the system even at that age. So where do you draw the line on reducing their access to the state pension?
No. So there's a sort of justice thing, isn't it? That's money that's already been taxed, isn't it?
Exactly.
So gratitude for,
Yeah.
Well, that's a social contract, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And we all pay into that.
Let's talk to Margaret. She's in Lincolnshire. Hello, Margaret. Thank you so much for ringing. What do you think?
Hello. Right. I don't know how many people are aware of this, but there are two levels of state pension. The higher level get paid £57.40 a week more than those on the lower level. And that is not right. So people on the higher level should not get the triple lock, but people on the lower level should until such time as they have caught up. And you cannot not pay people on the higher level some increase. But I absolutely agree that, the Alan Sugars of this world and people who have ready money of above a certain amount shouldn't get any more.
And the idea that, means testing, the Margaret, as we're always told in every possible facet of this conversation, is terribly expensive. It's almost people often say it's self-defeating. The amount of money you'd spend means testing and saying, Lord Sugar, you don't get a pension, Mick Jagger, you don't get a pension, King Charles, you don't get a pension, is so expensive that it would end up cancelling out the amount of money you would save.
It is, but I think that people who pay the higher rate tax should not get an increase. They shouldn't need it.
All right, Margaret, thank you for that. Let's bring in Pamela, who's in Derbyshire. Pamela, you've been working ever since you were 15 years old.
Yes, I worked when I was 15. I got my pension at 60. I'm 86 now. Right. But I did work till I was 66. I've worked all my life, and I think it's wonderful that young people get the opportunities that we didn't have, because we were just considered factory fodder, half-price workers until we got equal pay. But we deserve everything that we get from the government, because when you get to a certain age, certain parts of your body start to not work very well. And I did weightlifting till I was nearly 80.
Wow.
Gosh!
But I've had a lot of time in hospital, and the Tories took away our right to have our varicose veins done. So I think they now cost about 1,400.
Right.
They took away the right for us to have our ears syringed by the doctor, and that now costs about £80. We need every penny.
I think Jim wants to respond to that.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point Pamela's making, because this is when you start means testing things like the state pension, which is legally considered a benefit. I appreciate that, but that is kind of the thin end of the wedge, isn't it? Because then do we start limiting access to the NHS for people who are wealthy enough not to need it? I mean, this is a really important part of that social contract I was talking about. We pay in throughout our lives. That's what's expected. Does it need addressing? Yes, but it has to be done fairly.
Yeah, Pamela, are you still there? I just want to know your life on a pension.
When young people say we bought our houses cheaply, we did, but at the time they weren't cheap to us.
Exactly.
They were
It's all relative.
expensive to us.
Here. I remember the mortgage took up all that my then husband and I were earning. I think we were left with about 20 quid a week over, because it was so expensive, and that was 1985, and it was incredibly expensive. Pamela must have done it years and years earlier. Pamela, let me ask you something though. Your life on a pension, so from the age of 66 to your age now, have you had a good life of quality where you've been able to enjoy yourself and feel that you have, freedom to do what you feel like doing, or has it been very tightened and difficult for you?
I enjoy life because I've got a sense of humour. And I find beauty in things like bluebells in woods and things like that don't cost any money. I'm feeding my birds and my squirrels and everything, but I am not hard up like a lot of pensioners are. But I get cross when people say people should save up for their pension. We've been saving. We were told that when you started paying national insurance, that gave you a pension when you were old enough. So we thought we were saving for our pension.
Absolutely true, absolutely right. Pamela, thank you so much. What a delight to talk to you. And you've just reminded me about bluebells in woods, and that's a very good memory to think of. Let's go to Dawn in Liverpool. Hello, Dawn. What do you feel about pensions?
Well, I think we should be left alone, to be perfectly honest. My husband's worked all his life. I worked until I got ill health. We've brought up 7 children between us who we've made go out and work, and they've all got very good jobs. I don't agree with why we should be limited to help these young ones who won't get up and go out and get a job when they're all, a lot of them, walking around in all kinds of fashion and whatever, but they're supposed to be so hard up. Pensions, we struggle. Well, we don't struggle. My husband's worked. He still gets taxed on his pensions that he had from other companies. His private pensions. Yeah. We don't get any help, anything. We have to pay for our own glasses, everything, and yet the government's saying limit pensions now.
And yet, well, they're not really saying it, and they might never say it. It's a suggestion, and I bet lots of people watching right now will hope that they never do come to that. And Richard, you think they probably won't, because it will be such an unpopular mantra, won't it?
It's something it's a nettle that's going to have to be grasped tightly, but I wouldn't be, if I were leading a political party, I wouldn't be first in the queue to write that one out.
No, absolutely. Dawn, thank you so much. Lovely to talk to you. Thank you for all your calls on that one.